Today I've got my neighbor and one of my very good friends, Suzanne Trebnik, over from up the road, and she's a physical therapist. She's like an ultra physical therapist. She has so much training. She took anything she could take her whole career, and she is a phenomenal source of PT information, but also ergonomics, how to move to save your back and save your shoulders. And so today we're going to show how to work splitting wood. So we're going to use Brian, and Suzanne's going to work with him. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
So we'd like to start with the most efficient way to split these logs. And Brian's going to start with a demonstration that we see people do that maybe we could improve on. So go ahead, Brian, have at it.
Do it wrong, right?
Do it wrong on purpose.
Okay.
Okay. Now we'll pause for a minute.
Okay.
So first thing he did, he bent over and he kept his knees fairly straight and he rounded his back. So we'll get our little handy little stick here. So in bending over, you often hear bend with your hips, bend with your knees, but the key thing is you have to be careful not to bend your back. So I'll demo first. What Brian did was this. He had a little bit of bend in his knee, not much. Most of the bending occurred in his low back. So this time, if I bend, that stick has to stay right near because that's cueing me not to bend my back. And I may have to bend my knees a little bit more. This is a no. This is a yes. Okay, Brian.
Okay.
So he's trying to keep his back in neutral and get more bend in his hips. And he doesn't have to get that far down. He could just get a little bit, just as much as he needs to. So he doesn't bend his back. He keeps it in the knees and the hips. Okay. So now he's got the log correctly. Second thing, he holds it right next to his belly. So by keeping the weight as close to his center of gravity as possible, he takes the strain off his low back. And he has to get over here to get the log split. So he did that perfectly. Now this time he's going to take the log and come back and show you what not to do twisting. So he's got
Not to do.
not to do. Do not do this. And then he's coming over, he's going to, so he reached. He had his feet here, he was twisted, and he reached. So first of all, when you twist with your feet planted, you create a torsion in your low back. You're twisting your disc. Second thing, you're creating this long lever arm. So there's a lot more pressure. So a pound here is 10 over here. So that's a long lever arm to reach. So now you can show them how that could be better done, Brian. Close to his body, and he gets right up next to it and sets it down. So he avoided all twisting motions. He kept it hugged, so that kept the center of gravity close to the weight. Now that was easy because that didn't weigh much. Now, here's the real deal. The real deal is he's not going to be splitting wood like this. He has bigger, heavier chunks to split. A lot more work. So this time, we've got to do it from here to here. So what would be the most efficient way, Brian? We already talked about it. He knows what to do. He's not going to bend over unless he has to. A quick bend. He had to bend as it rolled. But if he can stay upright as much as he can, get that log in a good position for himself so he doesn't have to bend. Now he did a good squat with his knees, he hugged it, he walked over and he set it down. So he didn't do any twisting. He kept it real close. Brian, that was really good. So I'm going to mention something this time. If you're picking up something that weighs 30 pounds or more, it helps to intuitively train yourself to hold your belly toward your low back. In other words, engaging your core. Now, sometimes intuitively you will do it, but if you've injured yourself, sometimes the muscles don't just turn on like you want them to. So this time, Brian, you're gonna, Ideally, he does like to load it from this side. So he's going to load it from the side that he prefers to load it to. He kicked it over here. So this time, just intuitively think, suck my belly in, hold my belly in, hug that log, hug it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so did you see what he did there? That was perfect. So he kind of caught himself because he kind of wanted to do this because there it is and here. But by doing this, again, you're moving it away from your body. You're not holding it and delivering it here. So that was really good because you caught yourself. Okay, so in recapping what we just did, when we want to do any job at all, we don't want to spend any extra energy than we have to. We have to be efficient. So if the logs are over here, there's no sense picking this log up and having to carry it and walk it and expend all that extra energy. Ideally, roll it. Then when he's over here, 3 steps that we wanted to cover. 1, in bending, always bend hips, knees, spine, not rounding your back. The bending forward is always with hips, knees. Second principle, whenever you have a weight, you don't want to twist with your feet planted. That's torsion. Third, the weight's out here because that gives you that longer lever arm and puts more pressure on your back. So it's 3 things to remember. And we just applied it here. We could apply it to any time we lift.
I'm
So have
confused
fun.
on that last one because you said the weight's out here.
That's not good.
That's not good.
That's a
so you
long
want the
lever
weight to
arm.
be in here.
Brian had hugged that weight when he had it here. And when he went to set it here, he did not do this. He walked right up and set it down.
Hi, today we're working on putting up the wood that Brian has split. And I try to put his wood up for him into the shed. And I was doing it the other day and I was killing myself. I was putting it in a bucket, bending over, and I was trying to remember how Suzanne says to bend, not doing my back. But still, it was killing me. And then I remembered things that Suzanne said about that, which is...
So here we have this pile of wood. And Martha's job to help Brian is to get that wood over to that shed over there. So this all has to be picked up. So it's repetitive work. So whenever we do repetitive work, we try to kind of mix up how we're doing it so we don't do the same motion 40 times here in this pile. So the first thing we have to do is figure out how she's going to get it from A to B, and she's got a good bucket here with good handles. So what's the easiest way? And Martha had already thought of this.
No,
she has
I remembered you tell me this all
always
the time.
worked. We got this actually from the thrift shop because we just wanted to get things off the ground. So by elevating that, it's just less work. It's less bending. So we're trying to take out the repetitiveness and the depth of the bending. And then here we are. We get the wood, just lifting it up on there.
And
So-
the worst part was bending down to pick it up. I tried to do it right, but here I don't have to even bend over.
So easy.
Yeah, a lot easier.
How easy is that?
Yeah.
That's so good. Now you've got to get the wood into the bucket. And there's just multiple ways to do that.
Well, show that way you were just showing me.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to do it. And the one in the previous video, we'll just review quickly, is when you bend, you have to avoid rounding your back. And I'm standing here purposely. This is a big round. That will give you disc bulging protrusion. You need to put your butt out and keep this back flat. All the bending is in the hip. Not my back stays perfectly still. It's all in the hip. So I get that, but I've got to get from A to B here. The rest of it comes in my knee. And I can put one foot in front of the other. I don't want to stand here and reach. That's a long lever. Pick this up as close to me as I can. Get it closer. I want to be close. I can have one foot in front of the other. My back stays flat. Get it in the bucket. But we can have a little more fun with this. You can practice balancing. This is a boring job, right? We could stand on one leg. My back is perfectly straight. Pick that up. Practice loading that hip joint. A lot of women as they get older have osteoporosis, osteopenia. That's a good exercise to put all your body weight through your hip joint plus balance. People have lousy balance as they get older. Switch legs. Often one will be better than the other. Just make a boring job fun. So we picked up all this wood and put it here, and that's real efficient. She's got a nice bucket with good handles to get to there. Now, the bucket's like this. It would be better if she had her bucket positioned like this. So then she just gets behind it. She doesn't have to do any twisting or turning. She bends her knees and walks over. And there she goes. Okay, because the handles, she's headed in this direction. If she's here, she's got to twist. So we don't want to twist if we don't have to twist.
Especially carrying weights.
Especially with a weight. So now you're on this side.
Do you want to see how I did it before?
Yeah, you can show me. Oh yeah. Okay, okay, no, pause for a second. So that's again.
See how far I am.
But also, I don't know how she is right here.
What am
Well,
I?
we can go over here, Martha. Right here. Just reach right there. No, I don't know where this is. This needs to be dipped. This needs to be flat. So your butt needs to be up. This there, that's better. Perfect. And
closer.
get close and pick it up. Twist with your legs and then walk. So your twisting is always pivoting or moving those legs.
So I have to carry it in here, and I was bringing it in here the other day, and I was loading the back, so I had to get up, and then I'm bending over again to get each piece of wood. So I brought that same box. I thought of Suzanne. Same box. Or a different box. And that way I stack and I hardly have to bend at all. Really helps. I was so fatigued before I started doing this the right way, and it like doubled the amount of work I could do just by doing it ergonomically more correctly. I don't think I was perfect, but it was mo better.
That's great. Martha, that's wonderful. Perfect.
Okay.
Good job.